Hey, Fitzy here, back at again with another one. On this one, we're going to make a custom panel for right there. And we're going to make a custom panel for right there. And we're going to make a custom panel for right there. Stick around. So here we are again, starting in on this one again, the VIC100. A lot of interesting questions. A lot of you like this panel that I made here, and there was a lot of people questioning the rubber seal that goes on this here. If you're not familiar with these old trucks, this here used to kick up and step up right here where the seat was to. This here was never a lip to slide over. I trimmed it off so it was the same as the side, okay? The way the seal works on these, it's glued onto this face right here, is how the seals are kept on it. I have a new set of seals for this. This is not like the typical one that slides on over. I just wanted to retain the little rolled edge all the way down around. This here used to continue in and up and over for the actual original floor pan. I was trying to find pictures of it, of the way it looked. But a lot of people have asked me about that, wonder how I was going to put seals on it, but it's just a simple glue-on seal. That's all there is to it. But we got all the inside done in the last video. Top of the dash here. There were some interesting ideas for the corner of the dash. I'm not going to be too concerned about it right now, but there's lots of good ideas. And I got someone looking into doing something for that. Gonna be interesting. What we got left to do to mount the cab, to finish the cab mounting off, is I got to finish off this section here. I got a gap in the bottom there. You can look right down through there. I got to close it off on the bottom on both sides. I got to come up here with metal and across here with metal. Figure out something in here. A lot of you guys have been waiting on that. We're going to do that last here. I want to get everything else done till that. I got some rust here to deal with, so I'm going to clean up this area here, so I can actually find out what's got to be done. I'm not going to worry about this bead, I don't think. I think I'm just going to turn around and weld the piece over this way here to join into here, because we got this section here got to be modified for the actual brace that bolts on there. But we'll clean everything up. I'll probably pop this off, see if I can save it to get it off so I can clean up behind it here, get all that cleaned up. And it's much the same thing I got to do on the other side. A bit of rust repair up here to do, and close it off down here, close it off along here. Wipers are going to be interesting because I got an idea. People worried about water getting on them, and I'm going to put something over the top of it. They're going to make something for that there, and I've been thinking about how I'm going to do this, and I have a few ideas, but we're going to leave that alone for now. We're going to concentrate on out here. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to work on getting a piece made for down here. Now, what I've noticed, it seems like it tapers back, is about 1.25 inches on this end, about 1 inch on the other side, so it tapers back. Now there is a lip on the bottom of this here that I could probably weld to and just cut a square piece off, but I'm gonna have some sort of tab on it. I also want to have it so that if any water gets in there, it's got a place to drain off. Now I don't want to leave this opened, because when you're driving down the road and you get road debris and everything splashing up against it, stuff might get up there, rocks or whatever. But I like to have an opening down, or that any moisture or anything that gets down in here will want to run downhill and it'll run out. It won't build up inside there or not like that. So I'm going to go ahead now and dream up a piece for that and get a piece made for that first. I'm throwing nothing out when it comes to all the little pieces that I'm cutting up. This is still all parts of the Crown Vic. I'm over here now. I need a piece 2 inches by about 11 inches. This is about 4 by 12, which is perfect, and I'll get 2 pieces out of it, one for one side, one for the other. So I'll get that trimmed up and cleaned up and ready to install. So I got the little piece made up here, cleaned up. That's ready. That fits up underneath the bottom of the truck this way here, like this. And this here will spot weld on the bottom. This will be the bottom side here. This spot weld on here, and then this spot weld on here. The one thing I want to do is I want to have a spot in here on the inside corner, about right here, where I want the water, if it gets down here, because I'm going to seam seal this all up, but I'm going to have a gap right here that I want the water to fall down. I'm not going to get over carried away with this. This is all I'm going to do with this here now. Find a nice spot there and put that. That's all I'm going to do with that. I just have a dent put in it there so when the water runs in here, it'll come over here and it'll want to run out here. But nothing can splash up in there to get stuff in there, but it do have a drain in it. And that's what you'll see from on the bottom side there. There we go. Simple little drain. So here's this section right here that I'm looking to close in. You can see I got grinded off the lip here. It'll come over here and it'll bend down here and tack weld onto here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll get that fit up in place and get a tack welded in. And look at that. I can butcher with the best of them. Welding overhead, a tight confined space. Oh boy. Bit of seam sealer, make that all look pretty. But you can see the little drain up front there. I wanted to have that in the back. Drain is there. I wanted to have it at the back here, of course, because when you travel down the road, water runs backwards. But when I put it in it, I realized the side I was on, so I said, I'll put it up there anyway, who cares. So I got the bottom one in, now I can start working on the front. So I'm here now, and you can see I left a little bit sticking out, because I'm going to cut that off here and bend that lip up, so then I got a bottom side corner there. What I'm going to do here now is I'm going to make a piece that's going to cap all this up to here. It's going to spot weld onto here, and it's going to spot weld onto here. So what's going to end up happening here now is I'm going to measure from here all the way up to here and find a piece that's this wide down here that needs plus 3/4 of an inch, plus 3/4 of an inch. So I'll cut a piece out that's that wide. Not going to worry about the top yet because it's smaller, so it can be trimmed off. And I'll get it so I can actually get a 90 bent on it and then work on getting it up to here. So, use what I got. Back corner section off the Crown Vic. Yeah, that's a big enough piece. I'll cut that out now, clean it all up. Got a bit of roll on it, don't mind that because I got to bend it all up anyway. I'll get this ready to install right there. So I'm here now, I got that piece of metal bent up. I went ahead and I got all this cleaned up in here, ready to go. I turned around, I trimmed off this bottom piece and tapped it up and bent it up on an angle. So now this here got a spot, something to lay across there to weld to. On the bottom side, that's that bottom piece that I just welded in there. What I got to do now is I got to bring this up here, put this in place, I got to bend it over like that. Now, I already have this bent. All I'm going to do is come up here and mark it. Clamp it in place first of all, is what I'm going to do. Make life a lot easier on yourself. This is going to go like so. I can clamp that there somehow. Always in my own way. Every time I go like this stuff. Anyway, now I have this turned edge here. I'm going to mark it where it starts. And I'm hoping that it's going to end about right there. I can always trim more off of it if I got to. Well, I have that section there now. Right there marked. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go over and I'll cut the section out of it. I'm not going to cut right back here. I'm going to leave a little tiny bit of it there. Probably about 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch on the inside of it. And I'll just leave that there because I usually can manipulate that and bend that around corners. So I'll go over now and get that cut off and trimmed up. So I'm over here again now, got that trimmed off, like that. You can see I got to cut off, but I left a little bit of a lip there. All I'm going to do now is I'm going to start tweaking that around. You can see I can actually bend that with the little lip on it. So I can come over here now. I got too far with it. Still too far with it. Oh, there we go. Let's line this up on the bottom. So it's got to go. And this will come up here. So you can see here what I did, look. So now I got a nice dress slip. I've seen this type of crease on corners, on panels before on the cars when you make around edges. This is how they done it from factory. So when they were putting flanges on stuff, you still got something there that you can seam seal to and will seal up. It's just not a cut off straight edge. So, and it's got a bit of strength added to that there. And then you got your shape going along like that. I'm going to go up here now. I'm going to cut this off up here, trim this off. I want to bend the top side. I want to leave about 3/4 of an inch on the top side here so I can bend it over. But I got to mark it for both ends of it here. But right now it sticks out too far right here for me to get it. So I'll go ahead and I'll get this trimmed up so it fits better. So I got it clamped in place there now. And it sticks off a bit up here on the top side. And it's too long on the top side up here. But you can see the way this here rolls around here now. It's got a nice little edge on it. What I'll do now is I'll plug weld this down along here and I'll plug weld it up along here. Now in here now I got to figure out the length of it. All I did is I have this hook and I have it sharpened. I just ran it on the back side of it there and ran it down there like that. So now I can figure out how much there I got to get. Now I got to do the same thing over on this side here as what I did here, because you're not going to be able to fold all this metal in around this corner here. Is going to be bunched up. So where I'll find out where I got to cut it off to, I'm going to leave about 3/4 of an inch all the way down here, even with this here. And then I'm going to take a section out of here so that when I fold this over, I'll just have this little lip here that I'll have the shape around this corner here. As you can see, it's scribed there, and there's a scribe in it there. So I'll turn around and I can trim that off. Now this here I got to leave longer. This one here I got to trim right off to the line. This one here I got to leave 3/4 of an inch outside here. So I'll mark that off there now and get that trimmed off. And I'm also going to trim like that's done there on this side here. So here's what I got here now. I trimmed it up. Now I made a mistake and I never trimmed the inside here. I ended up poking holes in it. But I said to myself, no, I'm going to go ahead and leave that alone now. And I'm going to weld them holes up solid. I'll use the vice grips with the backing on them, the copper backing, and weld these up, and then I'll cut this off after. Because if I cut this off now, it's just going to make a mess when I'm welding up here, right? So I'll leave that alone. But the rest of them, this side here, I'm not going to bend it over. You can see how much I left there. All the way down, you can see where the lip is left. And I'm not going to bend that over. I'm going to hammer form that in place when I get the inside all welded up on the bottom side here. And I also got one here that'll actually plug well on the bottom. So I'll get that all set up in place there now and get that welded in place. In the last video, someone was asking about the size of these holes. This is the hole punch tool that I got here. There's a couple of questions I'm going to answer here now. The hole punch tool is 5/16 hole. I never ever had a problem with a hole that size. That's what size these ones are. I don't know what size they are like anywhere else. Some have asked me about why didn't I use this here to crimp the edge of it to do that section there on the truck, to do in along here. Why didn't I use this section here? This here don't have a deep enough crimp on it. And also, you got to cut the panel off to the exact width that you want it, because this here will make a mark there. And I'll show you there now. Here's what you're left with. It's not a big enough lip for what I wanted, and that's as deep as it'll go off an edge there. That's the reason why I never used it. And I don't like how sharp it is on these edges here. It doesn't give you a nice crisp line on it, but people have asked me about that. Yeah, like I've always welded panels. I done it once or twice years ago, using it and overlapping for panels and stuff like that, because it's only supposed to give you the thickness of this metal. But the problem I had with the truck is that I had about this much space that I had to haul this metal in, and it wouldn't have worked. But people are asking questions, and I want to make sure that I cover them on the videos. So here it is all in place. You can see there's a little bit of a lip there, and all this has been left alone. I got it clamped in place down along here now. I can go ahead and I can plug weld these up here. Up here I got an issue because of after fooling it up, making a mistake. So I got a hole here. I got to back it up. So I got these pliers here. These are like plug weld pliers. You can buy them on Amazon. And I got them a lot of years. They're great for doing that type of stuff. But all it does is it gives you brass or copper on the back side. So when you weld through a hole, it's going to bring up something and it'll help weld up the hole. But it won't stick to the copper or the brass. They're made of one or the other. I got a piece of round brass that I got as well that I use on all this. So I got this all positioned in place now. I'm going to go ahead now and get this side here all welded on. So I went ahead and I got all these welded on. Up along here. Now I can start shaping the outside because I got the inside done. All I'm going to do now is hammer form this over the end of it. I don't bother to try to shape this earlier because it's a lot easier to shape and hammer form it right on the car itself. Or in this case, the truck. That I notice is there. That's where I want the actual crease to be. So I'm working on that and I'll flatten it out after. There's what it looks like. All shaped in. You come down the side there, look at the front of it. No light all the time. The garage is dark. But I'll just go in here now and I'll start up on one end of it now and I'll start coming down. I'll do a bit of a plug weld, hammer shape this here some more because it's still a bit loose. But you can see that nice little edge there now. Look. Roll around the edge. It's got somewhere you can put a bit of seam sealer. Don't need to be welded or nothing because you're welded here and you're welded here and that'll be fine on that corner. That's the way you see them on a factory style turn. You'll see this type of cut on it with a little tiny rolled edge. Usually it's not as big as that. Usually it's only about 3/4 of an inch. But I've seen that many a time. So I'll go ahead now and get that all welded up. And there you have it. All grinded up. I chopped off that lip there, made a flush in the front there. Going all the way down. That's factory. You saw me there welding a piece up here in this corner because this was cut off, so I went and extended it on this end here, welded it in here, and welded it in here, and then just rolled over the edge, so this here continued on across here. So I got that all done. I also capped the top of this. That goes in past this here, so if there's any water gets down through here, it'll actually come out to this side here. I got to seam seal all this up in here anyway. But now I got all that done. She's closed in now, right on down through here, right up to here. So now I got to start working on this upper section here. Now the two mounts for the front fenders runs off of this here and bolts onto these 3 bolts here and goes out forward. I got to modify them to actually fit them in here. I'm not worried about that right now, but I just want to let you know I got to keep these 3 holes here. They have to stay here. I got a rusty spot up here that I got to look at. It's got a bead on it. I'm not worried about the bead. I'm going to eliminate the bead. I'm just going to have a nice smooth piece coming down into this here. Now this piece goes underneath this here. I'm a bit of a stickler, like you tell me before about seams. This panel here supposedly comes down here, turns and rolls out over this edge here. This panel comes down, rolls out over the edge and overlaps this panel. That's the way that's going to work there. So what I'm going to do, I'm not going to worry about building the bottom. I'm going to build this side here. I'm going to cut this off up along here and tuck that in behind it. And then plug weld it back down through here again. And then weld it over along here and down along here like that to the bottom side here. I got to make another piece that'll go in here. That'll actually weld in along here like this here. It'll come over to about here somewhere, but it'll have a rolled edge on it. That'll come down here and flow around this corner and flow off this edge here. So I'm going to go ahead now and get this trimmed out and start making up something for that. Well, I've been here cutting and trimming, cutting and trimming, cutting and trimming. I just chopped everything out of the way that was bad. I went and drilled 3 holes in this here. Then I took a piece of metal, that same stuff, and I just bent it up and fit it, bent it up and fit it, and this is what I come up with. I got to put another piece in it later. That's going to go right there like that and weld on. Then I got to put a piece up in that corner right there and weld it on. That's the easiest way to do that. I'm not too particular with it, but I like to keep that seam there. Anyway, I'll get that welded in. I never say there's nothing pretty about some of my work. I ran into some holes up here and had to weld that up there, and I was a bit thin there. That's it. It's only welding. I put a second piece in here to come across this shape here and bent it over, so that I got that corner back again. It looks rugged. I'll get that all ground up. That'll look perfect. I'm a grinder, not a welder. I'm a grinder, not a welder. I even got the lip put back in and everything, look. Fake lip. I'll get seam seal now, down across there. And a little bit of seam sealer down across there. So I got all this inside corner for that done. Now the next thing I got to do now is I got to put a bottom on this here. That's going to come out and roll over this here, like the way it originally came. So I'm going to take a flat piece of metal. All I'm going to do is I'm just going to weld it in along here. I'm going to come over here so far and weld onto this as well, because I want this, another piece to come down, overlap this here, and put a seam, have this seam continue out over the front here. So it'll be just a corner here, and it'll be a double layer panel here. So I'm going to go ahead now and take a piece of metal out, shape it out to that there, and give me a little bit out here, this end here, that I can actually roll the edge on to make a nice tidy edge. I'll probably roll this edge here as well. Going through my scrap bin. Look at that. I can make it from that there. It's nice and wide on this end of her. I'll trim that up now. Put that in there. Here now, and I got a piece of metal marked out, and I got this now for the flange to bend down over the front, but I got a 90-degree bend here. I'm going to use the vise here. I'm going to bend this and have the metal overlap here in the corner and get the shape right here on the actual vise itself. See what we can do with this now. The way it would have been done. Look at that. Brand new. Put the rest of them in that there now. Here's what I got. This little panel here. I had to roll up the edge back here. I already had it done. I had to take it out of it in order to put the corner on it. But I rolled this up here. And I got to, you can see the way that's all bent over there and the way the metal actually ran away from itself. So what I got to do now is I got to flatten all this out, put a nice straight line right along there, probably about that wide there, right along there. That'll be my roll off lip, and that'll go like this in the front of it. There's my little piece, holes drilled in it, all the little flanges on it, nice even lip all the way around. Slide that in there, like so, tap it in. Got to tap down this corner here because it's a high spot here. And I can weld that across there. I'll weld it up across here, weld it there, and weld it there, and weld it there. And I'm going to leave this line and run a weld up here because I want another piece to come down and come over the top of this again. So this seam here continues on. So this panel looks like it's actually laid on top of this one. So I'll go ahead now and get this welded in. Looks factory. Mint. Stand back here. That looks perfect from here. Like I said before, you don't need to be looking at stuff like this. This is where you look at it from. This is deadly from here. But anyway, I got that all welded in. Got the piece all in there. So now what I'll do is I'll go on. I'll start making the piece to go over here, continue on across. You can see you got a nice roll edge on the corner. You can see this bit of welding here. That was the first piece I put in there. The whole 9 yards. This is what goes there. This has to go there. But it has to be a major trimming up to fit around this corner. I'm going to do a quick cut up now and just get that so it just lays in place there. With a little snip here and a little snip there. That goes right up there now where we're supposed to go. See the way that fits there? Down along there. That look nice now when you look sitting across there. They look mint. Anyway, that's that side done. So I got the truck moved out here now. What I'm going to do here now is I got to do the same thing over here. I got to put a piece in here, got to put a piece in here, and I got to put a piece in here, get all that capped up. It's the same process as the other side. I'm not going to bore you with that because there's lots of interesting stuff got to go on here. I'm going to go ahead and get all this done, get everything welded up, so when I comes back, all this will be done and we can move on from there. Well, that was nothing to that. Like that, I did on that repair. Down here, same as before. Put this piece of metal in there, tack welded it on the bottom side, folded up the lip, made up the little lip here, trimmed it up, so it all welded on, hammer formed it over the edge here, welded it on here, capped the top of this here, extended this into here and welded that on. Got that all cleaned up. Then I got up into this. Nice simple. There was a hole here. So I had to make a little piece to go in here. That was nothing. I made the piece go in the bottom. But then I had to square off the edge of it here because this body line goes over this way. I had to square that off there. And I figured, well, this has gone up tight to this here. I put a couple of plug welds in that there. Well, that turned into a nightmare. One nightmare. All this entire edge right here is welding. I don't know what it is. It must have been thin or whatever. By rights, I should have cut a section out of here and welded a full piece in there, but I'd say I would have been back into there. I started to weld it up. It was only a couple of small holes, and then I grind it, and it just, like, as soon as I grind it, because you're on an edge, right? You grind through the corner a bit. Now, it's probably rusty on the back side of it, so this is probably thin anyway. And there's filler here anyway, so there's probably been grinded off before. But I got into that. Oh, I got some frustrated with that because I had to weld it. I ended up just burning a hot seam right in all along there, just trying to give me something that I can grind. Because every time I grind it, I grind a hole in it. And then I'd be up and then around the middle of this here and up around the middle of this here. But I got so far in it, at one point I was just going to stop and cut a whole piece out of it, but I was so close to getting it, I said, no, leave it alone. But every now and again, when you're dealing with rusty cars, you run into that rabbit hole where you have this little tiny repair to do. All I was trying to do, I had 2 spot welds here, and I had them done. And I said, now I'll dress them up nicer now when I got them done. They still looks horrible. And when I start welding them, I blew a hole. So I come up here and I welded up the hole, and then I welded the edge, and then I got to here and I welded it up. Then I grinded it off, and then grinded this section off. So then I come back and I welded up this section here, and I grinded that off. Then I welded up into this section here, after grinding it off, made a week here. So I just come down here then, and I just got in here and just started running a big heavy bead right in this heavy corner, going right up here, so it actually penetrated inside. So then when I grinded this off and grinded this off, I had a strong edge, right? Oh, I'm telling you. But I got that all straightened away, and then I went ahead and I put this piece in there and welded that in along there, a few plug welds in along there. So now that I got this side all done, the piece that goes in here for the extension is shot. I'm going to have to modify it. But something tells me, like this one's mint. Look at her, look. This is what I got to deal with yet. I got all this stuff to deal with yet. And you wonders why I got truck for $100. The right here, this was supposed to go right about right there. So I'm losing that entire intersection. I might weld these on yet, I don't know. I could probably put the tab up here, but I don't know if I'm going to bother with it. These here, I got to make this section up. For the other side is good, and someone's going to say, Tony, just go buy a new one. Well, yes, but I'll wait 2 weeks for that now. I'll have that made in a couple hours. Yeah, not even an hour. I'll have that repaired in an hour, and that'll be it. Be done, brand new. So I got to trim that up, but I'm not worried about that. I got an idea what I'm going to do with it. So I'm over here now, and I got this all done on this side, and I got this all done over here. So now all I got to worry about is this section up here. So we're going to get started on that. But in order for me to be going in and out of here, I got some stuff in the way out here. I know the chassis is going to have to be cut off out here. I'm not sure where I'm going to cut it off yet. This cross member here is the radiator one. This one has to be moved inboard. All I'm going to do for now is unbolt to take it out of place. But I'm just going to take the grinder and tink, cut that off there, so I can walk in here to work on all this. Just make life. I don't want to be crawling over the top of this all night. So I'm going to cut that section there out of the way right there. Cut that off there, cut that off there, and unbolt this here. And then I can get in there and work. And then we can get started repairing all that there. So I'm here now, and I wanted to work on seeing if I can take this apart for maintenance-wise. It's not easy. I got to do some modifications here. It hurts my hand to get it in there. I got to trim this back a small bit here on the back side here, and I got to make this here cover a little bit smaller in this section right here. I got to curvature this down a small bit here, so I can actually, there's a spot there where I got to get my hand in between this and the actual lip. But once it's in there, I can reach in this way here. I can grab this one here, but I can't get this one over here. I need a smaller set of hands. I can only go as far as there. I had a small, someone small with an elbow maybe. I don't know. But I can't get my big old arms in there. But that's it. I'm not going to worry about it. Everything is good, and I can take it apart for maintenance. It's going to be tricky. Hopefully I can get it all put back together again. But I had to take this out because I want to get all this welded up here and make a cover here. A lot of people talks about the rain in here. The water getting down here on top of this motor. Now this is a plastic sealed motor. This it was in the engine bay, but it was this way in the engine bay. Mounted upside down like this here in the cover, so you couldn't, it was pretty well sealed from water. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to build a cover that'll cover it this way here, so any water goes down here, it'll run off the edge here and run off the edge here, and won't go directly to this here. And then the bottom will be there, and I'm going to put a cover on the outside edge of it, because that's basically what my plan is going to be here now, is that once I get this in here, I'm going to build a cover to go right back over this again, and it'll screw on, and that way I can actually just take the panel off for doing maintenance and stuff like that. I was hoping to have this lip permanent, but I'm knowing now it needs every bit of room that I can get, so the actual cover is going to be part of this lip as well. So it'll screw on down through here and it'll come off, and part of this lip will be the actual cover itself. So that's not a big deal. It's just that I want to tie this up. I got a sharp edge there I got to watch, and I got to try to cut this down a small bit more so I can actually get my hand in there more comfortably to put the clip on and take the clip off, and to put these rods on and off just so I can get it apart. I just want to be able to replace the wiper motor, and if it comes to a problem with them, well, I'll cross that bridge when it comes to it. I'll just have to get someone with a small set of arms to get in there and unbolt them. You can't get at them, down bolt them, there's 3 bolts in there. But now that I think about it, I don't think they're going to come back out of it. This one here will come back. I don't know how far back that one will come. Oh, I'm not going to worry about that. I'm getting to overthinking this now. I'll worry about that when I get to it. So I'm going to go ahead now and start building some pieces. I want to weld this on down here. Close this in here. I think I'm going to close this in here on either side. I don't know yet. I might just close it in on the bottom side here yet. Maybe. Yeah. Probably all I'll do is close it. I want to keep this upper section open, just in case I wanted to, because I slides the wiper in there a certain way. It can slide up in there, and it can slide up in there, just for maintenance purposes. And I can also build this cover a bit longer, then I can slide it on an angle, kind of have the cover going out to here and going out to here, so the water will actually run off in here somewhere, in here, instead of actually dripping down in here. So, playing around with a few ideas here. I'll go ahead now and just start. I'm going to basically close this in down to here, close this in here, close this in here, and close this in here, and weld this here solid down along here, so this here part will be done. And I'll go ahead then and start figuring out the rest of it. Oh yes, all this is cleared out. I was just went on, started working away on it, forgot about it. There's the piece there, I cut that out of there, and there's the cross member there with the bolts, just unbolted it. So now I can walk right on in here, no issues. So I'm here now, and I'm overthinking everything here, and I had to stop it and back up the bus and realize what I'm trying to make here. There's a large access hole here, and I realized if I reach my hand in through here, I can reach that. When that's all covered, you're not going to worry about that. I just want support to this here, and that's it. The rest of it I don't need to close in. I need to close in this end here to do my front section. I have a couple of little pieces made here now to go here. One will go there, and this one over here will go here. Like so. I also made this piece here. This here will go down here and spot weld on across here and weld on across here. That'll give that there the strength from that moving. I think that's pretty well all I'm going to do then with that in there. Rather than trim up the few things that I want to trim up. Because I got to make a cover for it. And when I make a cover for it, what's going on there doesn't matter. What I got to make is I got to make a cover for the top side of it to keep the water from coming in through here, going right down on top of the motor. and a cover to go on the outside to cover it all up. I'm going to drill a large hole right here so the plug can go up through here and plug into the motor itself. And that way the wiring will come in through here and come up through the back side here. But I'll have it so that I can take the panel off if I need access to it. I don't need to see the motor, right? And it'll look a lot nicer if all this was covered anyway. But I'm going to go ahead now. I just got these here made up. I just bent over a piece of steel, tweaked it up and poked a few holes in it. That'll weld on there. I got some heavier gauge 16 or 18 gauge from scrap this old shelving that I had, and I'm going to weld that on there like that. I'll extend that down to there because I'll get them all done now. When he comes back, I'll have all them welded in. So I went ahead, got them welded in, got them all grinded off. You can get carried away here. That's fine enough, good enough for me. In here, I got that all plug welded, grinded off. I welded over the holes that I don't not using no more, and I grinded all that up. That's good enough for that. Over here, same thing. I got that grinded off. I went ahead and grinded the whole works off. What I need to do now is put the lip coming down as far as here, and the lip going as far as there. I'm going to finish off these sections first before I get any more into there. And so now I got to find a strip of metal that's that long, probably 2 inches wide, and same with there. And all I'm going to do is duplicate what I got done here. Make a little lip off the end of it. It's going to come up probably a ½ an inch up onto this here. And what I'm probably going to do, I end up shrinking some of this here, or stretching some of this here in order to get this to work right. I have a big gap over here that I got to deal with. So I got to have it half high. So over here I don't need to have it as high. I could probably get away with just welding the corner and the edge of it. But I'm just, for now, I don't know how far I'm going to get with bodywork on this car this year. And I might just get a coat of primer on it. So I'm just trying to make it look consistent as it is in bare bones. So I'll probably just do like a ½ inch lip all the way along here as well. So I'll get some metal now cut out for that. I throw nothing away. Here's the piece that I need. It's off of one of the doors that I had. So I'll cut that off there now and get the paint all cleaned off of that. I got ahead of myself. I was having too much fun. The piece of metal, all I did is I put it in the brake, and I break this little 1/4 inch lip first. And then I break the inside one and measured in an inch. That's how wide I wanted the lip. And then I bent the second one. What I did here is I shrank it. I cheated. I used big fancy tools. I used a stretcher and a shrinker to bend that around that. I had it out on the floor for another job, so I might as well just use it. You could have left a small lip there or whatnot, but I just figured, just do it that way now. So I'll have it done. So I got it all laid in place, and I got it fitting where I want it to. I'm going to mark it so it comes straight down here. This will be a straight edge. It'll come down, continue on to here, and this will be cut off straight there. So I'll get them marked off where I want them cut off, so I can cut them off and get some holes put in this so I can weld it on there, and then I'll solid weld it along here because this will be filled. Like when all this is said and done, all this here will look uniform going along here, and it'll be just spot welded down around here. To me, this just dresses up the firewall, makes it look a lot nicer. It do get a bit wider in places and stuff like that, but it's just like you're grafting the F100 into the actual Crown Vic body lines, what you're doing. The actual seam and the actual firewall. So I'll go ahead and I'll get that all marked off here and get a few holes poked in it and get ready to install it. So I got the piece all done here now. All the holes put in it. Made a boo-boo on the end of it there. I was off the edge of it there because I find that this lip is getting smaller here as you go down through, but I want to keep it a consistent 1 inch all the way along. So I had to make a couple of more holes, and I have to get the brass now, fill them in. But that'll go just like that there, and that'll weld down there. And it'll weld down across there solid. I'll get that there clamped in place now and get that welded on. It looks mint. So you can get up here and look at this and say, oh my God, looking at you over that patch tonight. Or you can stand back here and look at it and go, that's perfect. But when it comes to the lap patch, that's about the extent of it, look. Anytime you go at it, this is about what you're going to be left with. Don't be concerned about getting all that welding gone out of there. That's where your strength is coming from. Like people try to take the lap patch and try to feather edge it out so that you can't even see the weld. No, don't be at that, because you got this thickness here. This thickness is more than that, so you're going to have to step it up. And you can see there it is there. Look, that's the thickness of the metal there. And all you got to do then is you got to fill that little section there and blend it off. But now that's perfect. Looks nice and consistent now looking across there. Right, it looks factory. Now I'll get up here and I'll seam seal the bottom side of this here, all the way along here. I'll seam seal this edge here, make it look original. Once it's all said and done, I keep saying make things look original. That seems to be my choice of words. I just likes that factory appearance to stuff, but I likes hot rodding it. I likes doing a hot rod or something and then still make it look like it's a factory style appearance to it, right? But I'm happy with that. You can get carried away with this. You could have did the cut and butt across there and had that all perfect and everything, but what's the good of it on this thing here? This is a beater I'm making here now. I'm trying to keep my head open to the point that how fast I'm trying to get this built. So now we're onto this side here. I gotta get a strip of metal, that length there, and repeat the whole process like I did over there. And there you have it. All installed and finished, done. It's funny, when you saw me bending this up there, I turned around and when I was trying to bend the first bend, she wouldn't bend this bend in my homemade brake. This one over here, I done in the V4 brake and it worked perfect. But this piece was longer than the V4 brake, so I had to do it with my old brake. So I couldn't bend this over because it's such a small lip. It kept kicking it back in underneath the brake. I had to hammer form it over on the edge using the actual brake as the thing. And then I hauled it out and I bent it. When I bent it the wrong way. So then I had to flatten it out a bit, turn it around, and then bend it again. That's what you saw me doing there, fooling around on the brake. Then I just went over a number of times with the shrinker stretcher and stretched this section here, stretched this section here, shrank this section here. I'd done it a number of times till I was happy with it. Then I went and filed off this edge here this little edge here, just thinned it out a small bit because it was fairly big. I just wanted to have a small little roll edge on it. And then I turn around and I drill some holes in it. And then I plug welded it and welded it in along here. And that was it. The extent of it, grind it all off. That side's done. So that looks the part there now. Looked in across there. That'll be filled eventually, but when you stand back here, it looks all uniform. What I'm going to do, I'm going to make a cover for here. I wanted to continue on this lip along here, just have a continuous, and then have the cover like stay above it. But I need every bit of room in here I can to get the motor in and out of it. So everything to me is going to be for maintenance wise. So I'm going to build a plate now, a cover for this. That'll go over this. It'll have a lip on the bottom of this, and it'll overlap here, and it'll overlap here. It'll go on with possibly 4 screws here, maybe a couple down here, I don't know. And that'll bolt in place. So I'm going to go ahead and make that piece. I'm going to make it out of heavier gauge, 18 gauge, because the Crown Vic stuff I think is going to be too flimsy for there. So I'll turn around and get a piece marked out now and cut a section out for that. Got salt cabinet metal here. This is 18 gauge, I think. Pretty sure it's 18 gauge. And I got it marked out here now. It's a little bit bigger, a little bit wider. I'm going to trim this up so it fits in the bottom, but I left it a little bit long. And then I'm going to actually weld the lip on it down here that'll roll over the edge so it looks like it belongs there. But I'm going to go start off again with a rectangle piece. Someone pointed that out. It's not a square, it's a rectangle. And I said it's a long square, maybe? No? Anyway, get this cut out. So I got this here now and evenly spaced it between the two of them. And you notice it's not level to the top, so I'll just bring that up level to that. Hold it placed here. And I can see the distance here that I have. And if I continue that on over to here, they probably come about right here somewhere. I'll just cut the corner out of this now, like that, and test fit that a few times, and then just trim it to fit as I'm going. So I like starting with square pieces. I just kept trimming it, marking it, trimming it, so I got a decent gap on the bottom side. Then I came up here and I marked it on the top corners, and then I trimmed it off. I like that there now. It's got a little bit of an edge left there. So that's ready to go. I'm going to make up this bottom lip now that I come out. I'm going to have it so it overlaps here and overlaps here. And yeah, and I'm going to weld it onto that there. So I'm going to make up another one of these lips here now. I'm thinking about I should weld this on first, or screw this on. Screw this on in place and then weld to it after. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. Yeah, I'll get this here cleaned up now on the outside. I'm going to leave this on the inside, but I'll clean this up on the outside and get it ready and position it and drill a few holes in it so I've got somewhere to mount. So I got 4 mounting points for it. You can put screws in that later. I just use my Clecos again. So now I'm thinking about making up this bottom piece here, and I'm debating on whether should I make it out of the Crown Vic stuff or make it out of this stuff here. It's going to be something that's going to be coming off and on, and I think the Crown Vic stuff might be too thin down here in the bottom. So I'm going to take another piece of this now and bend it over, and I'm going to have to bend that in the actual voice itself to get the kink in it, because I'll never bend that in the either one of the brakes to try to get this here to flow along here. So I'm going to measure up a distance from here to here now and figure out how far out I got to come, because I just want it to overlap this tightly with this fully engaged, and then I can just come in here and put a nice heavy weld in along here and grind dress it, and then that piece will be finished. So I went cut out a strip. I just randomly took the length, more than enough, so I'll have lots extra. Then I come over here and I laid it in place and I clamped it in there, and it is longer than the actual panel itself. That's the way I wanted it. I clamped it in place and I marked it down here in the corners, down here and over here on the back side, and then I scribed the line on it. I'll go over now and stick that in the vise and bend that over in the vise. Here now, I laid my good hammer that I like, the one with the tip down the end of it. Laid it in the garage or somewhere, I can't find it. And it's been 2 days now missing. I haven't cleaned up her, I'm just going to flat out with this. I have to take out another one, it's not the same, don't have the same weight. 18 gauge is so much harder to work with, but it's so much nicer when it's all said and done. Now that I got that done, it's already going into shape. I'm going to take this here and trim this off along here. I don't need all this here. It just needs a little tiny lip along here, just enough for the rollover. So I'll just clamp that in the vise here now. Just cut it off the cutting wheel. That's all I'll do. I'll clean that up, straighten that up there now, and go over and test fit that in place. Here you can see it. Where it overlaps. I'll just come in here now and I'll weld this across here, and I'll weld this permanently to this here. I got a clamp place. I'm happy where it was too. It's got a nice overlap there. A nice overlap there. So I'll get that all welded in there now. I went ahead, took my time, and I welded every inch. Then I skipped an inch and welded like a half inch, skipped an inch, half inch, skipped an inch, half inch, like that thing, and welded it all up solid. I welded it in place because I wanted it to hold in place. I had clamps on this here holding this down, and I had all the clecos on there. Now, hopefully I never welded it on the truck permanently. Oh, that looks good. Oh, I welded it a bit. There you go. I'll get that all grinded up down. You can see the ends of it there now. I can just cut them off, square them up right nice. I won't bother too much the inside. I don't think. I'll just clean it up, that's it. And that'll be the new panel to go there. There it is, all grinded up. Nothing fancy about that. I did a couple of touch-ups on it after. All I did, you can see the round edge on it. All I used on that was that there. Grinding stone, it's got a curved edge on the end of it, and you look at the round. That's how I do these inside edges like that there. Then I just trimmed off the end of it. You can see how nice the end trimmed off on both sides. I round out the little rolled edge on the corners, just so you never had no sharp corners. And I just give that a rub over. You can weld the inside, you don't need to, because there's still lots of strength on the outside here. All this section out here. All that out there is nice and strong. So now I can go over, and I got that another panel done. I can go over now and do a test fit on that, make sure everything looks good. That looks the part there now. Everything's consistent. Now the symmetrics of it are off because, you know, if you got OCD, this side here is not shaped the same as this side, but that's just the way the Crown Vic was. This just follows the actual flow of the actual Crown Vic itself. Some may wonder if this is going to be stuck off too far. This is where the brace used to go before. It was a plastic cover used to go here, and the wiper motor was on the bottom side of it. And this used to bolt to this here. Used to slip down over this here as part of it, so it used to come out even farther than this. So I got no issues with clearances or nothing like that. And all this is closed in up here. I'll seam seal all that up later. Right? And I got the cover made. All that's in place there, and it fits right nice. And when you stand back now and you pop the hood, that's what you'll see. Nice, continuous all the way along there. Eventually, I'll fill this here. And this will be all painted body color, whatever color I decide. I might do down here satin black for now. I'm just trying to save myself some headaches. And I'm thinking about just doing all this down here with spray bombs just to get it done. So I can put this together and not have to worry about it. Up here, I'm not too concerned about it. I'll prime this up here for now. But I got all that straightened away. Over here, I got some holes over here I got to deal with. But I'll do that when I do that section over there. When I do some rust repair. Now, the next thing we got to get into now is finishing up in here, in behind this here, with the wiper motor itself. So the last thing I got to figure out here now is that I was going to close all this in, but I'm not going to bother with it now. It just gives me access to work on everything, and it doesn't serve no purpose other than just make it look nice. But there's going to be a cover on it, so it doesn't matter. And I found out that I can actually get at this one here if I reach in through here, so I'm going to leave that alone. The one thing a lot of people pointed out was that water's going to get down through here, and it's going to rain on the actual wiper motor itself. So I need to put a cover or do something with it. And I think the simplest thing for me to do here right now is I'd like to have a cover to put over it, but I just got to stop water from leaking down through here to leak down top of it. So I think I'm going to make a cover that'll go up along here like this. That'll just slip in the back here, go up, and probably a couple of screws will hold it here. And then any water that comes down here, I'll have to run to the left or run to the right, and it won't go handy to the motor itself. That's the idea I got in my head. Whether I'm going to be able to fit it in there, I don't know. I got to find a way that I can just slide it in there and then slip it up and put 2 screws in it, and it'll stay in place. I can't have it permanently mounted in there because I need to get access in through these vents here in order to get the upper screws out of the actual mechanism itself. So I'm going to go ahead now and take apart the other motor. Over here I got the motor. I'm going to take the cover off of that so I can play around with it, mark it out and screw it in place. I'm going to just make life a lot easier. I'll just remove this here so I can go over and fit it. I want to get a coat of paint on all this anyway, so I can put it all together. Just forget about it for now. Yeah, so I'll get this hauled apart and we'll work on that. So I'm here now and I got a 12 by this distance here. And you're wondering why I use this distance here and not use the measuring tape. Well, I got over here and started sizing things up, and it was a bit tricky. I wanted to make sure whatever I got and put in there, it would actually get in there and it'd clear all the way up. It'll actually come out to this edge here. So I just took a flat piece of scrap steel and just started trimming it till I got it to fit in there. So that would give me my width. It's kind of hard to make a measurement from there to there unless you use something like this here. So I went ahead and I took that measurement there and I measured from here to here, and I added about 1 inch or so because I want to roll the edges down on it. And this is what I come up with so far. So I'm going to trim this off here now, and I don't know if I'm going to take the paint off of that or not. I might leave that on there yet and just paint right over it. Anyway, I got to do some welding to it, so I'm probably going to end up having to strip it anyway. Yeah, I'll strip it. So here's what I come up with. I just got sort of water to run off it. Now this is a crown panel, so it's high in the middle, which is good. So all the water is going to run away from it. It's not like a flat panel is going to pool in or nothing like that. And all I'm going to do is have this, so this slides in here like this. Then this goes back to the back section and brings up in the actual cowl section. And you can see where I passed it up past through these here. I'm going to put a tab here and a tab here and put a screw here and a screw here. All this is just a deflector. I'll put a rubber seal or something on the back side of it. I got that jammed in there now. I'll probably put a rubber seal across the back here to hold it up in place. But this back here got a lip on it up on the top side here. Let me get a light. Now you can see up here on the top, there's a lip here that kicks back. This is the farthest distance out. I got it made so that it slides in there so it can't fall down because this angle's forward here. And all I'll probably do is put a rubber seal on it so it just rests up against it so it don't rattle. And then I'll just put 2 screws in it here and that'll hold it in place. So I'm going to go over now and make 2 little tabs for that, simple little tabs that I can put on that. So I can actually bolt that in place. Making use of stuff I got around. I'll just cut 2 little tabs off of that now and I can just drill them to actually put screws in them, and I'll just weld this section onto the panel. Look at me getting right fancy, look. Put that on there now, and a couple of plug welds there. Perfect. Nothing pretty. Clean that up now. Go over and get that mounted now. Drill a few holes. Screw it in place. 2 simple little screws. I'll get nice Phillips or something put there. They're just sheet metal screws that I got here, so I'm just using what I got here right now. But there's the little cover. That goes right on into the back into here. So any water to run down through here now will want to go to this side here and drip off into here and go down around it. Now, this wiper motor was not inside the car. This wiper motor was out in the engine bay mounted this way. So it was out in the elements, out in the engine bay. So it is a pretty well sealed up unit. It's just that I think that this here is a good call to actually just make sure that everything stays clean from it, because they do have like seal electrical connections and stuff like this. This is all sealed, this is, right? And there's a gasket in here. There's a gasket in here, right? So, and this is a little foam gasket here. So it'll be fine. So that's the cover done. Now the only other thing I want to do is that when I put this cover on, I don't want no wires going into it. So I'm going to run the wires for the wipers up and through here and drill a hole right here and have the wiper wire come up here and plug in here, so the wiring will be all hid up underneath here, going up through here, and then be able to plug it in. So that way you haven't got to worry about it. So when you look at the front of it here, you won't see no wiper or nothing like that. It'll be done. So I'm going to go ahead now and figure out what size hole I need, because I need a hole big enough that I can put this plug through, because this plug is going to have to fit up through it like that. I can probably put a smaller plug on one end, but I'm just going to keep it simple now and just go with what I got. I'm going to make a hole big enough. It doesn't matter if there's a big hole in there or not, because it's only drainage is all it is. So I'm thinking about putting a plug about here somewhere, a hole somewhere around right here. It'll be in behind the panel so you won't see it. I'll drill 2 big holes, take the grinder and cut a hole in it. I'll probably put a rubber seal around it later, bit of rubber or something. It doesn't have to be watertight, because water got to run out anyway. It's just for the actual access, the harness to be able to come up through. So I'll figure something out with that now and just get the drill and drill a couple of holes and make a little hole there for the wiring to come up through. Got that all cut and drilled out. That'll be inside. I'll get some sort of rubber seal or something put around that. I don't want the wires to chafe or nothing up against it later. The last thing I got to do now is I just got to modify this piece here so I can get my hand in behind it and put it all back together. So I'm going to take this all apart. I'm going to cut a section out of the top of it here so I can get my hand in here, and cut a small section out of it over here. That way I got a bit of room to get my hand there. It's very tight. I can get in there, but it's very tight. I'm just trying to make it a lot easier to get my hand in there, and then I can start putting this all back together. The combination to get the wiper sits in the car this way here, but in order to get it out, I gotta let go of the screws and everything, and then I gotta turn it sideways like this here in the actual opening, and then I can put my hand in through right here to undo the clips and stuff like that. So I'm going to, as you can see here, I'm gonna cut all this section here out of it, so that way it'll give me just that. I can get my hand in there now, but it's really tight. So I'm going to do this here now and clean up my edges and everything. Hopefully I don't cut my hands out myself. And I'll get this painted up so I can put it all back together again. Over here, I want to take another little bit out of here. I already took some of it out of it. But you can see I got the marker there. I'm going to grind that back there and then clean up that edge there. Have that so that I can actually get my hand in there. I think I'm going to weld this across here. Weld that there and grind it all flush so it's right nice. Do the same thing there. And there you have it. Another completion. I turn around. I had some tricks getting that up there, but as you can see, there's the cover there. You can barely see it there. That's the way I'll have that. I'll allow them 2 screws. Took a bit of figuring out. I figured the body was going to be in the way. But as you can see, you won't see no wipers. The wiring now will come up through a hole down here on the bottom side. But that's that. Completed there now. I got everything closed in. The entire cab is fully welded in place. All the gaps are filled up. It's close on another 20 pieces that I have to weld into this side, into the front side now. So I think it was 24 or something on the inside of the car. Over 40 odd pieces welded into this cab. But the cab is now completely part of the Crown Vic firewall and floors. That's a big undertaking. There was a lot of fabrication, a lot of figuring out. This is what you end up with, this type of thing going on. It would have been nice to have the straight one going across there, but it was always a problem with the wiper motor. You got to raise the body up to get that. But I wanted to do it this way here just to have both of them mixing up and coming together as one. Instead of having just a big old plate, some fellas just fills it in on the bottom side. But I wanted to have it so that when you looked at it from different angles and everything, it all looked like it was something that it belonged there. Yeah. So that's another section of her done. All them side pieces are all done. The bottom's all filled in there. All that's left to do with this now is seam seal a bunch of stuff. And that's all done. The next thing on the agenda now on this cab, I have rust here. I have rust down here. Hole there. I have this side here, brutal. This side here, got the cab corner gone, as well as she's bad up through here. She's also bad right here, and she's also bad right here. This is one reason why this cab was only $100. It has its fair share of rust on it. Over here now, we got some issues in along here we got to deal with. I'm here debating on what to do, and I'm thinking in the next video I'm going to work on getting all the rust repair done. Because that's basically all I have now. I have to mount the fenders, and I got to figure out the rad support and find a way to mount that. But the way all this works together, I got these pieces here. They need repairs. I got these pieces here that goes on top of the fenders, that the fenders mounts to. They needs repairs. And then I needs the fenders, which needs bottoms put in them. And there's a few dents or whatever got to be banged out of them. So I think what I should do is just, from here on in, is mostly rust repair. The only real modifications I got to work on now is getting the rad support to fit with this chassis rail. And the inner fender welds, I want them to fit with the actual original F100 braces, so I can use the factory Crown Vic inner fender welds. The box is just cut it up, make it fit. I'm not getting carried away with the box on it. It's going to be cut to the right wheelbase and everything like that. I have a lot of plans for the way I'm going to do it. Most fellas starts cutting pieces out and leaving stuff in there. No, I'm cutting it right up. So I want to have it, I'm taking the wheel tubs out of it and all that type of stuff, cutting all the floors right out of it. And my plan is I'm just going to frame this up with the framing and build a floor from scratch. In this here, because I got to leave the actual gas tank set up and all that in there, but that's a ways down the road. I have a hole here to deal with. I got a cab corner there. This side here is pretty good along here. Not bad. This side here was a lot better than the other side for some reason. I got this side here to deal with, and I got a little bit of rust here to deal with, and of course there's a hole right there, same as on the other side, as you can see. Hard to see in the dark there. There's a hole there. But so I figured that's where we're going to leave this one. The entire cab now is actually finished to the point that it's actually mounted. Now I can start building and repairing the truck again. Get back to some patch repair, how to make panels and whatnot. I have the 2 doors I got to bring in. Guess what? They needs work done on them too. There won't be a panel in this truck. The doors, the bottoms are gone on the doors. They're gone up here on the top side as well. The fenders got the bottoms gone. Now the hood, I had never had a close look at the hood. There's something bad on the front of it. I don't know what it is, but I haven't figured that out yet. The box, well, the entire front section on these corners here are gone, and then through the body lines and sections are gone as well. That's minor. The hard part is over. Having all this here done. Getting all this done. Get all this done up here. All this done in here. Getting the wipers figured out. Getting all these corners and everything figured out. Getting pieces made up to fit in there. Getting it all closed in. But there you have it. That's one 1967 F100 grafted onto a 2011 Crown Vic firewall and floors. This is where we're going to leave this one. I hope the tips were good. And until next time.